Hey everyone, Meinke here from MLive.com, joined by Justin Rogers. We're in Charlotte at Bank of America Stadium where the Lions have just lost 24-7 to the Panthers, dealt their first loss of the season, Justin. And we were so pleased with this team coming out of the New York game. They looked like a perfect team almost, and we know, of course, they're not a perfect team, and we saw some of those problems on display today. Some miscues from Matthew Stafford, got picked off once at a critical point. Injuries significant in the secondary, 3 turnovers, including 1 on special teams. There's a lot of things not to like about this game. What was your big takeaway?
I might end up putting a positive spin on this, and maybe that's just my personality, but we both expected a loss here. This is a better football team in the Carolina Panthers, far better than the New York Giants. And while the final score wasn't necessarily representative of what we expected, it in a lot of ways was a one-score game. A lot of fluke turnovers, particularly Jeremy Ross's fumble down the stretch, 2 missed field goals. Nate Freese shouldn't be missing 2 field goals. 49 yards is a long one, but it's unacceptable. It's got to be better for them. But the Lions have the talent to compete. We saw that today, and the defense held its own for 3 quarters. The offense moved the ball well outside of the fumbles and missed field goals. But the Panthers are a better team at finishing, and that's where it comes down to in the NFL. Is you have to be able to finish in the 4th quarter. It's a maturation process. The Lions aren't there yet. If they want to be a playoff team, they have to get there, particularly on the road.
Yeah, well, that's the bar I hold this team to. Is this a playoff team? And so yeah, there's some things I liked about this team, as you noted. But if you're holding this bar as a playoff team, I'm not sure that what we saw today is really indicative of that. I was pleased with the defensive line. 5 sacks of Cam Newton.
Great.
That's no easy feat. Cam Newton's pretty good. He can move around pretty good. So that was really encouraging. You saw C.J. Mosley stepping up there when Nick Fairley was playing fewer snaps than normal because of injury and so forth. And so I think you have to be really pleased with them containing the Panthers for 3 quarters plus, despite all the problems on offense. But then on offense, you did have the problems, and Matthew Stafford had that pick in the in the second half there, and really at a critical juncture. They were coming down, could have I think they were down to 2 scores at that point, and then it was 1 score, wasn't it?
Yes.
One score at that point, and then the Panthers turned around off that pick, scored a touchdown, and put it at 2 scores at the final margin. And so I think that there's some real issues there that I think the Lions have to be concerned with. And going forward into Green Bay, the biggest one is the injuries in the secondary. Already down Bill Bentley in the nickel. Now you're losing Nevin Lawson, presumably for the season after dislocating his foot. And who's coming in next week? Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I look at every part of the defense. I was fairly impressed with a lot of it. The defensive line was good. I thought Levy and Tulloch were very good. Slay and Mathis played a very good ball game for the majority of it. It's that nickel spot. They're really struggling covering tight ends, slot receivers. That's where they're giving up a lot of first downs in 3rd and long situations. And I don't know if the answer's on the roster right now. They very well could be sign anybody. They've only got 3 healthy cornerbacks, so they're going to have to bring somebody in. I don't think Muhammad Cisse solves all their problems off the practice squad.
Right. I'm not sure a free agent does either.
No.
But flipping around to offense, they had injuries at the right tackle position too. Started Garrett Reynolds today. Cornelius Lucas came on for, I think, 1 series. I didn't see very much from either one of those guys. I don't think either one is a long-term answer. This team better hope that Adrian Waddle can get back in a timely manner. And you look at what they've done on the ground. There are serious concerns there, I think. Reggie Bush is MIA for the whole season. Bell has been productive, especially through the air today. But then you have the fumble issues. He lost 1 fumble, almost lost another. It was ruled as an incomplete pass. And you have to be able to hang on to the football in this league to win games and to win important road games like this one. And that's one of the big reasons why Lions came up 2 scores short.
They've talked a lot about balance, and NFL teams all talk about balance. They need balance. You need to be able to run the football as well as pass the football. They're running it enough. Could run it more, but they're running enough. They're not running it particularly effectively right now. They have to be better. They've averaged, I just spitballing here, but about 3.4 yards per carry. It's not enough. You need to be in that 4 per carry range. And if they can't get Bush and Bell going, they're going to have to lean more and more on Stafford. And that's just not a recipe for success.
I asked you after the first week, after the win, how much should we take away from that when everyone's thinking 16-0 because they look so good. Now this one hurts. How much can you take away from this loss? How much do you take away from it?
They're the same team I thought they were going into the season. It's played out as expected at this point. I still think it's a 9-7-ish ball club. The Packers coming in next week, I thought the Lions would lose that game. I look at the Packers now, I think they're vulnerable. I think the Lions have shown enough on defense, even with the nickel concern. It's a very winnable football game, especially since it's at home. So, I still think they're a playoff contender. I saw enough in this game where if they clean up these mistakes, they could have won this game for sure.
I'm in the same ballpark as you. I thought they would lose this game, maybe not quite as badly as they did, but I thought they would lose it. Carolina's a talented team. They're playing at home. I was disappointed the Lions weren't more competitive, especially with Greg Hardy out. I thought that would have been a huge lift for the Lions. They were without D'Angelo Williams. That could have been a lift as well. So, the Lions had some opportunities there, fumbled them away, so to speak. But you have to expect better things ahead, I would say, if they can clean up some of these mistakes. So we've been saying about the Lions for a couple of years now. But, there's a talented kernel there that just have to clean up some of these mistakes that continue to cost this team, especially on the road.
And that's where I still believe Caldwell is the right guy, and not just him, but his coordinators. I think, we talked about it a lot. The NFL is all about close one-score games. I think he's good enough to get them over the hump more times than at least the previous regime. Is it enough to be a perennial winner? That's to be determined, and given the history of this organization, it's expecting a lot, but they'll be a little bit better at least than last year.
That's what we got from Charlotte. We'll be back in Detroit tomorrow. Jim Caldwell will have his press conference tomorrow afternoon in Allen Park. Keep it right here at MLive for all of your Lions coverage. For Justin Rogers, I'm Kyle Meinke. We're MLive.